Hey guys, this is Bumblebee85 coming at you again with another video review. I did Marvel Legends Ghost Rider last time, you can check that out, but now I'm switching over to Transformers. I'm going to try and go back and forth between Transformers and Marvel Legends, since those are the things I have the most quantities of. So here I am, back with Titans Returns, Deluxe Class, Hyperfire, and Blurr. From Hasbro, ages 8 and plus. We get a nice image, drawn image of Blurr here on the card, or actually that would be Hyperfire attaching or separating from Blurr there on the package. And on the back there is a picture saying that he transforms in 16 steps. That's I believe one of the higher amount of steps with any of the most recent figures that we've had. And here's the write-up. I'll try and focus it there for you. There we go. We'll focus that in. You can pause it now and you can read that if you like. And this falls under the Titans Return banner, where all Titan Masters are the heads, and they form and they can attach to other Titan Master different bodies, from Deluxe to Voyager to Leader class characters, as we have here: Deluxe Hardhead, Deluxe or Voyager Sentinel Prime, and Leader class Blaster. So if you have those characters, the head can actually interchange between all those robots, and that's the main playability that these figures seem to be having throughout this entire line. Headmasters is a line that we used to have long a time ago in the 80s, but Blurr was never an actual headmaster, so it is an updated form of Blurr. We have had Blurr in the Generations line. I'll show him off with him later on, but let me get him out of the packaging and we'll see what he's like. Now here is Titans Return Blurr out of the packaging. Now I will say right off the get-go that I'm not going to be so critical of his paint job as other reviewers may have been. He's Blurr, he's meant to be blue, and I'm not going to get mad at Bumblebee for being yellow. So yeah, there may be different shades. Even with this character we get different shades of blue, so I'm not hating it as much as other people may have been hating it. He has the main metallic blue type. He also has this baby blue throughout the figure on his arms. Even he has some silver and red down here. Not much, but it breaks up the figure just a bit. Even like the shins are a different color blue than the thighs. If you look closely at the figure, you will notice. From further away you may not notice that, but the Takara figure actually has way better paint apps. Yes, I'm not going to disagree with that, but having Blurr look like Blurr from the Generations line is alright in my books. This is what we've gotten from the Generations line before. Blurr as this sports-looking-ish car. He's much smaller. The new Blurr is much smaller than the old one. And this was a reuse of the drift body mold. So I'll show him off again in vehicle mode later on when we compare vehicle modes. But it does come with this Titans Return hard cardboard card. Blurr on the bottom. There's his stats. The red is his normal stats, the blue is when Hyperfire is attached to him. So it's cool that we're getting these cards, like I've said before, with these figures. He does come with 2 accessories. He comes with this silver gun, and there is a lot of gunk in there. It's almost like they took this freaking toy to the beach. There's like sand and stuff inside of this gun. I just opened it and that's how it is. It's like dirty in there. But that's his gun he comes with, and he can easily hold that in either of his hands. Just pegs right in there. He also comes with this back piece, or this nose cone piece, which has a flip out. I guess you can call that a landing gear type piece for when the Titan Master rides along in the inside, or it could be held as a shield, just like skull cruncher, skull smasher, but it also is meant to attach on his back just by those slots there and those pegs there, and it just slides right in there like that and sits on his back, much like Skull Cruncher's head that came separate from the packaging. Now let's quickly go over his articulation. He does have a waist swivel. His head is on a ball joint due to the gimmick of the Titan Masters, and his shoulders are on a hinge and a swivel. And then he has this upper bicep swivel along with a single hinged elbow, and his wrists are also on a complete swivel. You can do them 360 degrees. His hips are on a ball joint. They can kick out that far, and he can get really far back with the upper thigh swivel. Single hinge knee that gets a little more than actually 90 degrees. It pops up a little bit more, and he has this little bit of a toe articulation due to transformation. So that's quickly his articulation. Now, his transformation with 16 steps seems a little exaggerated. Seems like there are too many steps. Actually, if you can actually see this, I've just played with the figure just a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. There's some blue actual flakes that have popped off of the figure that have appeared on my white cloth here. So that's a little odd, but let's get to his transformation. Quickly remove his gun there, and we'll also remove his head. Here's his Titan Master Hyperfire, which is the head of Blurr, which is kind of cool. His legs just simply flip down. They're on a hip hinge and a knee hinge, and we actually get some black paint on the legs there, and some silver paint on the arms, and some blue paint right on his face there. And we have a screw in the middle there. Let's quickly compare him to Grax here. What is neat about these Titan figures, we are actually getting new body molds. They're not just reusing the same mold all the time, which makes it look kind of cool. And again, we're getting different faces for each figure, different heads for each figure, even chest and body parts are all different. That's kind of cool. So it's a neat little extra that we're getting with all these figures. We will get repaints and recolors of most of the figures, but that's Hyperfire. It just simply transforms into Blurr's head. What's cool though also with Blurr's head here, Hyperfire is unique with this Blurr antennae slips in and pops out of his head. So that's kind of cool with Blurr. He's got the blue eyes in there. That's kind of cool. I like his head sculpt. I like it looks like Blurr. But for his transformation, it says to flip up his feet. Simply done. Flip out his leg pieces here from inside. There's a hinge right here. Flip those out on both sides. It's really in there. There we go. Flip those out. And he does have this hood ornament, or this antennae, that flips out from inside his right leg, and only his right leg. That pops out. And then you flip his legs up in on himself, like so, and you can peg those together. There's some notches and slots. Easily just pin those together. They'll click together. So, and then from the step 8, we flip out his window visor piece here, if we can get a hold of it. Right in there. Flip that out. He has a little seat. You flip that from down to up. Step 9, reclose the hatch. And then we take his arms, we flip these pieces down and over the hands, like so. You're going to want the actual whole of the hand inward, facing the body. And those simply just unhinge. There's a hinge here, right? We'll unhinge on both sides. Flip his nose cone up. There's notches there and the holes, and you pop those in there like so. You're going to want to have the window you can push it in for the transformation of the body, but you actually want it one notch, because if you have it up, this blocks this piece from sitting flush. So you want the hood or the visor piece flat, and then the nose cone actually clicks in. So that's kind of cool. Then we rotate the arms completely around. Making sure that these hinges here line up with the notch here, and they just slide right in to the side of the figure. So you rotate, make sure at the elbow here, and they just line up and right in that little slot there. And that becomes Blurr transformed into his vehicle mode, looking very G1-ish with this figure. We get some more blue from the nose cone, a softer blue from the nose cone, but we do have this huge gap here forming the cockpit. It is actually meant to be there. It's not something that you forgot or slide over, cover it up with anything like that. It's meant to be there. We do get a wheel on the bottom here and 2 wheels on the back here near his feet, so he does have some rolling ability, which is cool. But with this cockpit, you can take Hyperfire, transform him into his little robot mode, sit him inside, and close the cockpit. He sits deep inside there, and you can see him sitting in there and driving Blurr, which is very, very, very cool, I think. And this fin represents the same kind of fin that's on Hyperfire in robot mode. The head forms the fin. It's very cool how they incorporated the sleek design of that fin in his head and into his robot mode or vehicle mode. Nice tampered on Autobot logo right there also. Now this is what Blurr is supposed to look like. Blurr compared to his previous generations line Blurr, who was a car. Here is Dead End from the Combiner Wars series, and here is Blurr compared to his Skull Smasher Headmaster, the only other Headmaster that I have besides Power Master Prime, and some Titan Masters to compare with. So definitely shorter in comparison to the Alligator. Possibly out of scale. Definitely out of scale. And you can even plug in Blurr's gun underneath Blurr here. There's a little hole there. We plug that in. It can sit there. It can also sit on the side, like so. But we also do have this other mode that you can remove Blurr's nose cone, which it does come separate in the package. So you just simply unslot that, plug the gun into it, open this mini landing gear that I've showed off earlier in the video. nails. You open that, open the hood, visor there, take Hyperfire out, put him in his seat mode, stick him in there, slots right in, and then he is driving this little hover mode, kind of like Grax in the Skull Smasher tail there, and he does just simply, it shows him on the instructions actually plugged into the side cart, like a side cart with the pegs there on the side of Blurr. Anyway, useless mode probably will never be used in anything. So in closing, I just really want to show off the robot, or the vehicle mode. Like, I'm really happy that we have a Blurr that is no longer a car. He's in this futuristic vehicle mode that the original movie or show, Transformers show, showed him as this kind of character. And it looks like this vehicle. And I'm really happy with the overall look, the space-aged vehicle that we get from this figure. And again, there are little pegs on the, or peg holes on the bottom of other Titan Master figures, and there's little pegs so that you can actually have figures stand on the side, or wherever there's a little peg, you can have them right along. So I find that the interactive play with this line of Titan Masters, Titan's Return figures, is probably one of the most amazing lines so far. Even with the Armada, even with the mini-cons unlocking features, like this has heads, third modes, pegs for city modes. Like, so far this line of Titan Masters, Titan Return, is so far the most amazing, I think, toy line. Even with the Combiner Wars, with everything combining, this is the most amazing toy Transformers toy line that we've had, and it's going to be hard pressed to follow it up with the next line. But I enjoy everything about Blurr here, and it's nice that his nose cone can actually stay on for the whole transformation. You don't have to get rid of it. The weapon storage is there in the back of the nose cone there. And I'm really happy. I can't say it enough that we have an official Blurr-looking Blurr figure, and he's quick and easy to transform and everything. With so far with this Titan Master compared to the Skull Smasher figure, everything seems to clip in nice and securely, and you don't have to worry about his hips popping off. Although he is a headmaster, and he's not originally a headmaster, you can keep him in there until he is ready to use his head in robot mode. So overall, I am very happy that I own this figure and that I have a Blurr that looks like Blurr now. So I'm going to have to start thinning out my collection, so possibly selling older figures that don't actually resemble who they're supposed to be. So stay tuned for that. But this is Bumblebee85 saying enjoy the play.
Take this, you Decepticreeps. This, and that, and this, and this, and that, and this, and this, and this, and this.
Slow down, Blurr. We won the war already.
Yeah, I know. I'm way ahead of you. And this.